Welcome back to the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beeve. Great to have you back. Come for the rugby, stay for the Aftermatch. The double dose this week. We are giving you the double dose because we're hearing from you. So many people are liking and subscribing, which means you are telling us that you actually like what we're doing and you want more of it. That's what it tells me, Beeve. The numbers are going up. So
absolutely.
Clearly there's some positivity around this podcast.
Absolutely there is, and fantastic to have you all listening.
I read some texts in our first podcast. Here is probably the most honest message that I saw on social media. Stephen Kitsoff, back-to-back Rugby World Cup winner who had to unfortunately retire early, said, worst Boks performance I've seen in a minute. Well played, All Blacks. Did the Boks actually turn up to that test at Eden Park, Beef? And how hungry are they going to be for Test 2 in Wellington? They had opportunity and they just didn't take it at Eden Park.
Yeah, I thought there was opportunities there for the Springboks. I thought we all knew how they were going to play the game. But when you get so zoned in on playing one particular way, and they are, and they were about putting pressure on the All Blacks through kicking, getting their defensive setup sorted on the back of their good kicks, using their set piece to their strengths, etc., etc. They actually missed a few opportunities where they actually had us burnt for numbers a few times. And you saw it, particularly in that first 20, when before the rain made the ball a lot greasier than the game started with, there was a couple of times where Pollard had numbers outside him and he could see it. You could tell that the guys could see it outside him. But because they were so in tuned for what they were wanting to do, which was all about the territory game and the putting the All Blacks under pressure inside their sort of 30, they were out of sync. Yeah, and you had guys front running and you had guys getting in the way of passes and what have you. And that was in the first 20 when I thought they had overlaps. There was 6-on-4 situations, 5-on-3s, and they just couldn't capitalise. So there was opportunities there for them. Obviously, who be it us to argue with Stephen's Kitsoff's sort of analysis there. They're 2 times world champions for a reason. But what I think is I don't think they were probably anticipating or had a plan B if they were nullified at their strengths. And what I say, they were nullified. The All Blacks line out, they got a couple of steals in the first half and they competed hard. Well, what does that do? It upsets the rhythm of the Boks because the Boks want a solid platform. They want to either be able to get their maul going from deep to then kick off a solid platform to then put the All Blacks under pressure, or they want to use their maul or their line out as a weapon to launch at the All Blacks when they're now 30. But the preparation that the All Blacks did, obviously around looking at the line out, the greatest example of the All Blacks being absolutely, excuse the pun, razor sharp on their preparation and analysis was when they chucked up that gimmick of theirs in the middle of the field.
What is that?
The maul
I didn't think
off
we
the
would
line
see
out
that
jumping.
against the All Blacks. Yeah, I understand against Georgia and some of these teams. Against the All Blacks, Beef?
But what about, for me, so obviously when you analyse that, there's a trigger that the All Blacks saw. So it's not just an ordinary pod coming around. There was a trigger straight away that you had 3 All Blacks running out, coming around the back of it, and which means you can get offside on it because there's nobody touching the front of it. That means there's no offside line. So they just went around the back and just disrupted it. And that, for me, showed straight away, geez, the boys have done their analysis, done their homework, and they are really prepared for this. So, again, I don't think the Springboks were prepared for the level of, I guess, disruption that their game was going to be put under from the All Blacks. The big one for me, especially in that first half, is the All Blacks went after Williams at halfback. And how they did it, again, he wasn't prepared for it, was they were coming from his blind side. So, yes, there was kick pressure, and I think Barrett might have got a couple of charge downs, and Tupou Vai has always been big on his kick pressure. It's just part of his game. But what they were doing is they also had someone coming from the blind side. So what I'm saying is that is as if the halfback's picking the ball up, Williams is picking the ball up, and he's a right footer, so he's going to his right side. He was getting kick pressure from his left side, and all of a sudden he was getting nudged in the back. He was getting his foot attacked from behind, and again they didn't have protection for that. And so you can build the longest centipede in the world, but if you don't see it coming, then you're under pressure. And what does that do? His kicks aren't the same. and therefore we've got more time. Yes, there was still box kicks that went down, but that was both ways. And I think maybe we've just got to get to the realization that the box kick in the air now is a proper 50-50, and some days you're going to win them, some days you're going to lose them. I just think that's where the game's gone right now when you think about the amount of protection, you're not allowed to escort, all the rest of it.
So when you look at 7 days' time in Wellington, what do you think the Boks do differently? Does Sacha start at 10 for you, Beef?
Oof. Well, it's a massive contrary, isn't it, for Rassie?
When he came on, he opened the All Blacks up straight away.
He did, but to start with, before Pollard, I was thinking about the great South African all-rounder, Sean Pollard, of course. But Pollard, when he stayed on the field, Sacha was still out there at 15, then Pollard came off, and then he went into 10. For me, it's a massive quandary, because do they go to what's been nicknamed Tony ball or Brownie ball here in this country, where they play a bit more footy and have a Sacha at 10, maybe Pollard off the bench to come and kick goals, or you're under pressure, you have to win this game in Wellington to keep your championship hopes alive. So therefore, under pressure, we talked last week about what do you do under pressure? You go back to what's worked for you in the past. Are they just going to go, right, we're going to be better than what we were at doing our traditional style of rugby? Have they got the ability to do both yet? I mean, we saw the Australian game at Johannesburg when Rassie said we haven't got the blend right. So it's going to be a quandary for the Boks. I think personally, I could see them staying the Pollard route. Then
Faf comes back, doesn't he?
I think Faf will be involved. Yep, without a shadow of a doubt, because Faf's more than just a halfback. He's like almost a talisman for that team. He's in everyone's faces. He's energetic. He's everywhere, and they've got a great crop of halfbacks, much like they do with the Locks. But I just think it's such a game now in Wellington. It was always going to be a big game, but now it's do or die for the Boks. They can't afford to go 0-2 here. So I think someone like Faf. But no, I think they will go away and go, right, we're going to sort out our line out. We know that the All Blacks are going to pressure us here. So there's things that they can quickly fix. But look at that last 20, Kirst. There wasn't much wrong with the Boks then. And, is that what they go to? And that was very much, they got territory. They were camping down in the All Blacks 30, and they were bashing our way down. That scrum in the second half, Kirst, that turned the game there at one stage.
Huge.
Obviously we all know Ox, we all know Marks, but there's a couple of props who I hadn't seen a whole lot of. We mentioned the forced retirement of Stephen, and a couple of their other regulars who we're more familiar with were in the grandstands. But these boys that they just keep producing, I saw a couple of them milling around after the game, and you wondered, how did that scrum happen? You want to see the quads on these guys, Kirst. I know you've...
How big?
I know you're big on Suali'i's quads, but my word, these are a different sort of quad. These are about my torso.
I prefer the Suali'i quad.
Yeah, well, these are my torso. This is how big these units are that are propping the scrums for the Boks. So, they will go away and they're like, right, we can maybe go at them at scrum time. But I'm no expert on scrums, but for me, maybe the All Blacks had a concentration thing, because you don't see an All Black scrum with those boys like Lomax and Tamaiti going backwards like that too often.
Okay, what about on the All Blacks side of things? Potentially some injury concerns. Cody Taylor, depending on what happens there. Amoni Naru, it looks like he'll be out for a little while, unfortunately. Unconfirmed, of course, but just from our eye, right, it didn't look good. He was in serious pain. What do you think they do this week?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, first of all, with the injuries, HIA, the fact that Cody Taylor went straight to the bench, didn't even test. Is that a level which is X amount of days?
Is that an immediate 10-day stand down?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I'm no medical genius. Clearly couldn't get into Dunedin University. But then you've got Narawa. What a shame for Narawa. Like a moment of absolute magic and I guess lit up Eden Park, and then 2 minutes later it's remarkable
And it
to
was
think.
his moment, wasn't it, to show that I deserve to be here, that I should never have been let go last year.
You've scored in the first 5 minutes, and as a winger who's got his first start in a while, you're just thinking, tonight's my night, and then that happens. So Caleb obviously playing NPC this weekend, another week of match fitness. Sevu's still there, so they've got options there. Damien, I thought, went well at fullback. Will Jordan on the wing. Damien took a couple of good high balls. Damien goal kicked well, so he will clearly.
There's a benefit of having him in that starting 15, right?
Oh, and on a night like last night, his kicking game and as I said, his goal kicking. So, but from that side of view, they've got some tinkering to do. But I don't think no one did themselves any harm last night wearing black. They were all very, very impressive. But from a tactical point of view, Chris, if they get and it's funny because you can often get some pretty rough days in Wellington on Test match days, and nothing against the nation's capital, but I've been there on some pretty rough nights weather-wise. If they get a decent day, I reckon the All Blacks will go away and try and work out what they're going to do to get to the edge. And when I say the edge, I'm not talking about just throwing the ball willy-nilly. I'm talking about the fact that all night, we talked about that first set-piece try in the previous podcast about Narawa having so much space to himself because Jesse Creel was marking probably just outside the upright. So you're talking about almost half a field of space. Now, that happened off a set-piece where they're going to bring line speed and all the rest of it. That space was there the majority of the game in face play too. And a couple of the times, the Springboks were able to get our last set of hands and stop any chance of getting it to that last guy who was in all that space. Now, that could have been great defence. It could have been because the ball was having to go a bit slower through the hands because it was greasy. But if the All Blacks can get a night where it's not raining and the field is relatively dry, I think this week they spend a lot of time on working out, right, how are we going to get the ball there? Is it holding more depth? Is it having some going out the back with some front runners, sitting the Springboks down and then releasing? So I think there's that aspect. I thought there was a lot of potential opportunity for kick space too. Because of the weather, again, we just had to go the box kicking route off pretty slow platforms. But I think there was some space there if they're prepared to, on a decent night, get to the width, then kick, then isolating some of the South African back three, who very much were running a 1.5. So too often back in the backfield, but very much I think they can be manipulated, that they can be isolated. And again, they will just have to dial in on some of the stuff that works so well for them at Eden Park. You're looking at the kick pressure, the set-piece pressure. They won't want another one of those scrums to happen. So you can imagine Jace Ryan and the detail of it.
Not on his watch.
Not on his watch. Jace will have them all sorted this week. And again, there's nothing like playing somebody 2 weeks in a row to then find out, hey, I reckon there might be an opportunity here. So you don't necessarily go the route of, we'll do the same moves that Will Jordan scored off or Narawa scored off. You might go do something that didn't work for you because I guess the mentality is they won't be thinking we're coming there again. But if you can slightly change it where they thought they had you covered and then manipulate something else, then there's an opportunity to go. So I think they'll go away. They'll look at some more set-piece strikes because we've seen it both in this game. We saw it across the ditch in Townsville. Set pieces are the best times to try and score your tries because it's the least defence that you're ever going to go up against, and that's where tries are coming from at the moment.
On that Quinn Tupaia try, Hart was so happy for Quinn, knowing everything that he's been through, and now obviously back in there and scoring a really important try for the All Blacks. But afterwards, did you see Smithy's celebration? He was high-fiving in the coach's box.
Well, I was too busy embracing, I don't know if it was Joey or Millsy or Laura at the time, so I didn't have a chance to look at the monitor. But no, and that try in particular, it's the confidence. So when you were there live, Curse, you could see from the full field that space was there. Damien was screaming for it. I'm trying to remember who was on the right wing at the time, but they were screaming for it. Bodie was organising it, wanting it. Quinn was reloading to get out there. It was literally 5-on-3 sort of for about 4 or 5 phases, and they were trying to get it And when you're fighting the devil on one shoulder and this other guy on this other shoulder, because you're 3 or 4 meters out, you can sit back as a 9 and a 10 and the backs and go, oh, the forwards will get there eventually, just keep picking and going, no risk sort of stuff, or call for it, roll the dice for it, score the try, great, don't score the try, the forwards turn around and the country turns around and go, why'd you take that? Should have just left it up front. So to have the confidence now that it worked will be another boost for next week going forward that, hey, let's just keep backing ourselves. We've got the ability. We've got great backs. We've got great feet. And as you say, Quinn himself took the odds to it because he had Damien screaming at him. His golf partner would have been in his ear if he didn't score because he would have scored himself. He was outside the last defender. But, yeah, the Quinn Tapia story is a great story when you think about, as you say, what happened to him a few years ago.
They keep putting him, or late in the match, Beef, shifting him to centre.
Which continues to surprise me.
Yeah, does it continue to baffle you? So what is the go there? Clearly they see that as potentially an option for them.
Yeah, yes, clearly they do. Oh, there must be an aspect of we don't want to shift Geordie, which he was a part of. I guess I know we poked a bit of fun about the Pollard coming and going. There might be a bit of the same thrown back at us around the Geordie Barrett because he came off, then went back on.
Do you not think Geordie was a genuine HIA?
I like the way you use genuine there because, there was one on the opposition that we might not have been agreeing with. But the thing is, obviously, Geordie's the vice captain, and I thought maybe he goes somewhere else in the back line and Quinn goes straight to 12 and maybe Geordie goes out or what have you. But, yep, it is interesting that they just keep throwing Quinn at 13 when I myself see Quinn as, I just think he's a straight out-and-out 12. But, yeah. It's working for them. So who are we right now to question the All Black coaches?
No, I won't. No. And clearly, Smithy sprinkled a little bit of magic on that performance behind the scenes. Clearly,
he would have been about the endeavour. Like reinforcing. Look, you've got to be brave and have an attack mind focus. And so, like that was what he was about. Back your skill level. If there's opportunity there, take it, sort of thing. Him and Ted and the great Steve Hansen, they were all about that. So I think definitely that would have been a part of the mindset.
The one question I have, before we do head across the ditch and just quickly talk about Australia, this, with all the billing, and I don't know if it was just the hype and hoopla and the fact that we'd been playing the test since Monday last week, Beef, which you kept telling us not to do. But I just looked at this, and if not now, then when will that Eden Park record ever be beaten? This was the Boks' best opportunity at Eden Park, I would have thought. This is the greatest team in the world that we were coming up against.
Yeah, well,
if they couldn't beat us at Eden Park, when is it going to happen, Beef? Bank another 30 years.
Well, isn't it just another, sport needs storylines. And, we went to Eden Park last night. Yes, excited because it was the world's greatest rugby team of the last 8 years coming to play our team that we believe is the greatest team in the world ever and will always be. And we went there because of that. But you couldn't help but get swept up in the media hype and the emotion, and we've all helped build it around this record. So it's just a great thing for our game. Yes, the Springboks would have loved to have been the team to break it, but it just goes another few months now, and with the Aussie factor. The thing I'll say is, though, around that, so South Africa hasn't in the past got to play at Eden Park a lot. And respectfully, because they went through a time there of, I guess, the pre-Rassie era of us, during Steve Hansen's golden sort of 4 years, it was almost, a lay down misère as far as the result. They took the Springbok games out around the country, and Australia was the big crowd puller at Eden Park, or whoever else was coming in those June tests, like the Lions or England or anything like that. Now the Springboks are the undisputed world champions. Don't worry, Kirst, they'll be back at Eden Park every year because it's a financial thing. It's our biggest stadium with the biggest crowd puller. So when's it going to get broken? You'd imagine it's going to be the Springboks someday. But
I don't know if it will be. I feel like it'll be when we least expect it against a team that we don't expect it to happen to. It'll be the time that it actually happens.
Wow, Georgia. Are you suggesting Georgia?
Not Georgia.
Okay.
Not Georgia. But I just wonder when, B, because it's an incredible record. and I just can't see it being broken again for a long time.
I mean, it is just so special. Well, who knows? The government and Auckland Council might break it before any team does. Like whatever mayor has a brainwave that he wants to build a stadium somewhere else, they might break it more than anyone else.
That got quashed, Beef. That got quashed. So you're saying we could end up in a new stadium before the Eden Park record is even. Australia, though. Could Australia come here and be the team to beat that Eden Park record? Honestly, watching that, which was amazing to see an afternoon match in Townsville, the crowd was absolutely humming. That was an electric game and a really, really exciting game. Obviously, I love Joseph Suaalii. I had him in my fantasy team, Beef, and he got the most points across the Rugby Championship, round 3, and fantasy. He right now is the most exciting rugby player on the planet. And the Australians are the team right now with the most potential and that are going in a trajectory like this.
Well, I mean, we talked about a couple of things you touched on there, Kiz. Daytime rugby. Well, guess what time the kickoff for that Eden Park game is? It's about 5 o'clock, I think. And that, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's some daylight saving hours. So I'm pretty sure it will be a proper daytime test.
Get the barbecue and Haller's sausages out, people.
Oh, well, I think I'll be there, so I don't know if I can take my own barbie in, but geez, there's some nice smelling food coming from underneath us
your
too.
car park that you've got right there, Beef. You'll be at a car park at Eden Park.
But, so that is going to be something else as well. We're going to be able to do it all again. But on the Australian-Argentinian game, the Argentinians, I know we'll get into Australia, but Argentina team at the moment, they continue to play some footy. I mean, that try, I think it was their second try, Carreras got, that is just magical. And they do have the ability to play with this Latin flair that you just don't see anyone else doing. I'm in love with that second five, the headgear wearing second five, old Choco. He is so good to watch.
Choco Choco
Bardes, the lines he runs. So damaging. They went after, I think, defensively, and as a young 10, you're going to get this a bit of naivety as they tried to fix Liner a few times, and they got a few results out of that. But all in all, the way that was a physical test match. Sometimes daytime rugby just naturally gets a bit looser, but the physicality that both teams brought, that opening 20 was brutal. But the way that the Aussies clawed their way back into it, your man Joseph Suaalii, my man Ikitau, they just gravelled their way back into it. And then, no one would have begrudged Harry Wilson taking 3 points and saying, we're walking away with a draw here. A draw in this competition this year could have been massive going forward. But he goes, nah, we're going. Mm-hmm. And then it's one thing to...
That was brave decision-making, wasn't it?
Well, it's one thing to be brave to do it. It's a whole nother thing to be under all that pressure to get the result after the 80th minute, to have the skill set. And I know we're only talking short passes, and I know we're only talking sort of going around the corner, but because we've seen things go wrong pretty often in those situations. And for Ikitau, he picks it up, squares up the guys close to the defensive line. They all turn in on him. And one of my favourite props in world rugby, Big Angus Bell, crashes over, and another great test match in this rugby championship, which, without a shadow of a doubt, my lord, is this
the
competition.
Best competition in the world.
And I don't want to upset anyone.
Say it louder, Beef. Say it louder.
I don't want to upset anyone. We overstepped the line.
It's very low level over there, the Six Nations, though.
Well, look, we overstepped the line with the URC comments a while ago, so I've just got to be very conscious. But if I was to watch one global rugby competition that wasn't the World Cup, geez, it's this rugby championship.
It is so good. It keeps delivering every single week, Beef. These 4 teams are so even right now. It's pretty cool. I was just trying to keep count of how many favourite props you have in the world right now. Angus Bell, you love a Ox, and you love a Tamaiti Williams. You got a few favourite props going around.
Don't forget about my favourite Southlander. Hey, my favourite Southlander, De Groot. He's having a second coming as far as his career goes. He's been magnificent this year. But, Kirst, you just mentioned the competition.
You love a Lomax too?
Oh, I love it, Lomax. Jeez, absolutely. But Kirst, you mentioned this competition, and hand on heart, I hope it doesn't happen because I'm a Kiwi. But nothing would surprise if both games that happen this weekend, back-to-back clashes, go the other way this weekend.
Exactly. And then
Nothing
we're
would
going down
surprise
to
you.
the final 2 rounds.
It is so good. I mean, Argentina, talk about flipping the result. It will not surprise me in Sydney next week. You can imagine how many Argentinians live in Sydney. They will be well and truly up for that to go again, and we know that the World Championship winning Boks will respond in some way in Wellington.
Absolutely brilliant. Great to have you joining us once again on the Aftermatch. Make sure you always like and subscribe so you're getting notified exactly when these podcasts are dropping. Appreciate all the positivity, all the feedback around our podcast as well. Thank you so much from myself and Beeve. And we'll see you on Thursday for team reaction, team naming, and some predictions for the weekend ahead.